After being arrested, Winston is thrown into a cell bustling with both political prisoners and common criminals. He thinks about O'Brien, although he knows that the Brotherhood doesn't help its members. Uh-oh, things are not looking good for Winston. Sometime later, a gaunt, thin man enters the cell. His eyes burn with intense hatred. His cheeks are sunken in. He's dying of starvation, Winston realises. Eventually, an officer comes to the cell and orders for the thin man to be taken to room 101. Sounds spooky, doesn't it? Suddenly, the man kneels with his hands clasped together, begging. "Not room 101, he cries. "Shoot me, hang me, sentence me to 25 years. The man is dragged away. A few days later, O'Brien enters the cell. Winston jumps to his feet. They've arrested him too, he thinks in shock. They got me a long time ago, says O'Brien. The thought, O'Brien is not on my side, barely has time to cross his mind before a guard smashes Winston's elbow with a baton. The pain sends needles of fire through his nerves. Winston wakes up on a bed and sees O'Brien standing beside him. How long has it been since this continuous cycle of torture began? How many times has he been thrown to the floor and beaten? The bad news is, O'Brien is only just getting started. O'Brien brings Winston into a room. He is strapped to a bed connected to a torture machine. O'Brien controls it by pulling a lever that sends pain shooting through Winston's body. O'Brien mentions how Winston wrote, "Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4 in his diary. He then holds his left hand in front of Winston's face, 4 fingers extended. O'Brien asks him how many fingers he is holding up. Every time Winston answers 4 instead of 5, or says 5 but is lying, O'Brien inflicts serious pain on Winston. If the party says it's 5, then Winston must see 5. The cycles of suffering continue until Winston, deranged with pain, suddenly sees 5 fingers. 2 + 2 = 5. Winston is a slow learner. The torture of the machine and O'Brien's interrogation seem to last a long time. Winston has lost track of time. In their discussions, O'Brien explains why the party goes to such lengths to control everything and everyone. The answer is power. The party only seeks pure power, not luxury, wealth, long lives, or even happiness. But the worst part? The party is immortal. Oh, the horror. Cut to some time later. Winston is in a comfortable cell with a pillow and a mattress. He even has water to wash himself with. They have also given him a pencil and a piece of white slate to write on. Winston picks up the pencil and writes the first words that spring to mind. Freedom is slavery. 2 and 2 make 5. He understands doublethink now. Winston has been successful in becoming insane. Well done, Winston. But one fateful night, Winston makes a horrible mistake. While dreaming, he yells, "Julia, Julia, Julia, my love, Julia." He wakes up in a cold sweat. Deep down, Winston hasn't given in to the party's total control. He has given himself over intellectually, not emotionally. O'Brien enters the cell and says, "Room 101. The guards take him there. Can this get any worse for Winston? In the room, Winston is strapped to a chair. He can't move a muscle. O'Brien enters the room. "You asked me once what was in room 101, he says. "The thing that is in room 101 is the worst thing in the world," O'Brien begins explaining. "The worst thing in the world is different for everybody." O'Brien gestures to a cage full of rats with a mask-like attachment in front of it. Winston makes a frantic effort to escape, but it's hopeless. He panics as he realises that his head is supposed to fit into the attachment, where the rats will eat his flesh. As the rats are brought closer, nausea sweeps through Winston's body. He is screaming like an animal. He has to do something to keep the rats away, something to put a wall between himself and the rats, or somebody. Suddenly, Winston shouts over and over, "Do it to Julia, not me, Julia! Tear her face off, strip her to the bones, not me!" Winston has a falling sensation. He hears the rat cage door click shut. Everything goes black. Sometime later, Winston is in a cafe. He has been released. His mind wanders to the war between Oceania and Eurasia. Violent emotions flare up inside of him. Soon after, his mind drifts. Nowadays, Winston finds it difficult to focus. He has met Julia once since they were captured. It was an awkward encounter, and they both confessed to betraying one another. They parted ways without speaking again. Now, Winston stares at a large poster of Big Brother. How has it taken 40 years for him to see the smile hidden beneath his moustache? There is no one in the world he loves but Big Brother. We hope you enjoyed this Schooling Online production. For more easy lessons on 1984, check out our lesson on context